Welcome everybody, super important video today. The main topic will be NIO, and before we go into that, welcome everybody. I really appreciate that you're tuning in, and if you're new to the channel, I would appreciate if you hit that subscribe button so we could get to 50k subscribers by the end of the year. That's my target, but you can always support this video by hitting the like or sharing it. I think it will be worthwhile of information that is contained in this video to be shared. But now let's start. So first off, a couple of macro factors about the Trump election and what's really weighing on the Chinese stocks, especially yesterday, was some news out of the administration that possibly some neocons like warmongers, people who are hawkish on China and so on, have been selected by Trump, but it's all speculation. So Marco Rubio, we don't know whether or not he's really going to be a state secretary. But now it looks like that, and that has scared HSI and Chinese stocks in general. However, I would argue, like here in my post on X, that the Trump's leverage over the Chinese economy is quite limited. So less than 3% of China's GDP are dependent on Chinese exports going into the US. So, this whole tariffs talk is kind of a little bit more of a chip in the bargaining discussion, I would think. And even today we got news coming out that CATL is saying, look guys, give us the sign that we can go and build manufacturing in the United States and we will do it. So I'm still in the view that no matter how the composition of this US administration, we will see deals between Trump and the Chinese players there. But so far, of course, it has scared some investors out of, for example, NIO stock, but also other Chinese names. And there has been always the talk about the implications of the chip bans. And we've got some news around the semiconductor or Taiwan semiconductor company, manufacturing company that has received a letter by the US officials that they should ban sales of intelligence chips into China mainland. So the question was whether or not NIO might be affected by that, given that they're now bringing out their own designed chip and possibly manufactured by Taiwan Semiconductor, who knows. But we now have the news here that Sean, who is an ex-NIO employee and who's now still very well connected in China. By the way, I met him in Shanghai last time, and he's running a YouTube channel, The Telescope, which some of you guys might know. Excellent channel. Anyways, he reached out to NIO officials, and the reply that he got was basically, look, there is no impact on us, 没有影响了. So we can assume that NIO is still on track to bring out their own self-developed chip that is providing the compute power of 4 Orin chips in NIO's cars, but it will be self-made. So that's good news. And again, another sign that the impact of the US over China and China tech and NIO stock is limited in some regards. Okay. Now, coming to what I think is the most important news that I can bring to you guys today is about the delivery numbers that we got yesterday, right? I think everybody's been quite disappointed to see NIO around 3,000 cars and ONVO only 800. While I always said on the channel, tame your expectations around ONVO in the short term. I don't think it will be catalyst to NIO stock in the short term. However, there is long-term potential for it. And that held true so far, but I have to say, I was also a bit shocked yesterday by the 800 ONVO deliveries. That was way too low than what even I thought would be normal right now, and that was hinting towards some problems. But I think I've now found the real reason for that, and I will give it to you in a second. But we've now have a statement by Li Bin that I talked about last time, that they are now prioritizing ONVO over NIO for growth going forward and focusing NIO brand on the profitability, right? Now, this is also when I think, the numbers now need also to match those kind of announcements, okay? So it needs to be reflected in numbers, and they need to walk the talk now and show that ONVO will at least ramp to the numbers which they've guided, which is 10K in December. Now, can we get there, and what's holding ONVO back right now? Well, I made a post in my Patreon community network earlier because I had some indications that there might have been an issue with NIO in Shanghai. So what's that all about? Well, there has been a problem in Shanghai that they could not deliver cars for 2 weeks. And the reason is that there is a license plate registration for the green license plates, which some cars are getting that are fitting certain requirements. For example, that they are EV, but also a certain price tag and so on. Anyways, it seems that something has gone wrong with NIO in Shanghai and obtaining those license plates. So that's an issue between NIO having the proper communications with the local government and the officials which are registering the cars. So basically that means for NIO and including ONVO, NIO was not able to really register cars in Shanghai for 2 and some say up to 3 weeks. So that is something which is actually really mind-boggling. It's a very severe problem, and I only had this idea that this could be happening, but I didn't have much more proof to that until I gathered more data and information, and there have been social media posts where people were basically stating that they have ordered cars in Shanghai and they couldn't pick it up at the time when they were supposed to pick it up. And people are getting annoyed by that, and also some people are even starting to establish groups where people can gather that are affected, because, for example, there might be some compensation by NIO even for that, and generally to discussing the problem. So at this point, when I saw all of that information trickling in, I thought, okay, that's more than speculation, more than a rumor. It must be really the case. And we have to say, looking at NIO stock, how it behaved, like, for example, there was this day when all of the EV stocks were up 7%, except for NIO flat or down. I think, those hedge fund guys, they've got much better intelligence than we have. They have possibly people on the ground going to the delivery centers or flying drones over the parking lots and so on. So they know what's going on, and they see that cars are not gonna get registered. And so the stock clearly reacted to that, or even was front running that issue, and that's where NIO really had this underperformance versus all of the other stocks. And now I also have very important and good news for us. I think somebody talked with NIO officials here, and the officials replied like 已经好了, so it means that this problem has already been resolved. It took them 2 to 3 weeks to resolve this problem, and it's a major issue. And I really asking myself, like, who in the world is responsible for such a big impact? I mean, I've been to this delivery center, the biggest delivery center of NIO in Shanghai last year, I think. And this delivery center alone is just one, can move 200 cars a day. So if they're out of business for, let's say, 10 days, that's 2,000 cars missing. And then there's ONVO on top and maybe other areas affected. So I don't know exactly the full scale of that, but all I can tell you is this information and intel that I gathered, which really points to the fact that there has been this problem, and it's now resolved, but this must have definitely impacted NIO during those days, and it's a major issue. And without any communication by NIO, I mean, of course they don't have to file an issue with the SEC or something, but at least somebody like here from NIO talking with us would be appreciated. So if there's somebody from NIO next time, please give me a hint if you can, and tell me there's something going on currently, so I can happily report it to my followers here. But I think everybody from an investor perspective has been questioning those delivery numbers yesterday, and without any explanation, that didn't make a lot of sense and really was an indication of a struggling company, whereas now we have an explanation for it. It makes much more sense, and I think we can now really look forward to the next couple of weeks and months, where I think that should actually trickle back into registrations that are added on, and also I think makes it more likely that they can still achieve their own the goals that they've set on their own, like the 10K in December benchmark, which they are hopefully fulfilling for ONVO alone. Okay, so I hope that clarifies a lot of my personal views about NIO stock, about the macroeconomies, about what's going on currently in the markets and so on. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and I would appreciate if you could share it so more people who are invested in the stock can actually know about that. Thanks for watching, and see you in my next videos.